Hello. Okay. So today we're going to do some maps and show you guys how to farm anywhere from 200 to 500 plus chaos in each of these maps. It's not something that you can do immediately when you hit endgame. You need to start off with delirium mirrors, and this is going to be especially good come 3.22 because you have permanent fog. There's also some other nice keystones they're adding in that you can use to amplify this, but the base strategy is still sound. You're still going to make 200 to 500. It's not going to be once you get to this point. I'm using delirium orbs though, 60 percenters, and then scarabs as you can see, and then I have a whole bunch of sextants that I amplify as well. Nothing particularly special. It's just what I've kind of divvied out as what works well for me, and it can be done in any build. Doesn't really matter. Any spec, any build. It's not a difficult farm to do, and you know, earning anywhere from a divine to 2, 3 plus divines, depending on drops. But it's, yeah, I've never had under 200 chaos a map with this setup. Once I get to the delirium orb part, anyway. So if you go into your Atlas tree here, I'll show you guys what I've done as far as allocation. Right there. So the purpose of this is delirium. The core event that I'm doing is delirium with delirium orbs. Like I said before, it starts with mirrors, and that's where you get the beginning currency to start purchasing large amounts of delirium orbs and scarabs from other players, which sustains your high-end farm. Once you're done with the mirrors and you have enough currency to buy enough of the orbs to transition to doing 60% maps, and you can handle them difficulty-wise with enough gear from farming the mirrors, then you would switch over to this. And the focus here, like I said, is delirium, and then you have spirits, which this is going to change position, but you'll still be able to get it pretty easily. And you have the exarch altars. We're going to have to wait and see. There are some patch notes that I believe are changing these altars, if I'm correct in my understanding. I could be wrong. Patch notes with GGG are not always the most specific things. But if the patch notes are pertaining to the shrines here, we're going to lose the secondary bonuses that accompany quantity, which is going to suck. Other than that, we're focusing a lot of the delirium circles, as you can see. Pathology, Compulsive Hoarder. I've got part of Paranoid Fixation because I don't actually need these. And then Blight. Blight is massive for Delirium in this setup because of the amount of creatures that scale the Delirium levels. Other than that, you're kind of just doing the extra events to push the Delirium levels up. I have recently, towards the end of this league, I switched over to shrines, and that was amazing for the blights. Really makes the blights a lot easier. Blights are possibly changing if you do the new keystone in the next patch. You'll have to focus your towers and the gear, I believe, rather than having to focus how I do now, which is just straight pushing the blight down. But either one will work. And then harbingers. Harbingers are another really big part of this. Harbingers drop a ton of shards and raw currency. And if you have all of the associated nodes here, you're looking at anywhere from 2, 3, 4 harbingers, and every single one of them has a chance to be a big daddy harbinger. And then you get a lot of drops from them. And those are fantastic for scaling the delirium level. So, like I said, I've kept this up on the screen so you guys can see the layout. You can always reference the video if you want to try it out. It's a very good setup. I tried a lot of different routes on this tree before I settled on this. So we'll do a map. I'll show you guys the kind of drops you can expect. Again, as the description shows, I play Wild Strike. You know, not a popular spec, but I love Wild Strike. It's what I just absolutely enjoy in this game. Very underrated spec. It doesn't do the most damage, but if you spend enough time with Wild Strike, you realize that it can become insanely tanky, and the survival rating is just amazing. There are a few things in the game that get me. Very, very few, but there are a few boss mechanics that'll kill me. But for the most part, I can base tank and just barrel through almost any of the content. I have to play with my video settings. I may have to take a minute here and just play with some settings. So give me a moment. We'll play around with some video settings and see. Sync off and stuff. Yeah, I'm not particularly sure what's causing this. It wasn't... Anywho, we'll play through this and then I'll mess with settings some. Putting it back to its native resolution is all pairing, but nah. So, I guess you guys will get a slight tutorial in how crappy this game's optimization is. Ways to make it a little better, because I'm gonna have to go back through and play with some settings. But as you can see, Harbingers are no issue. You can sit there and face. Don't really care whether I'm looting while I'm killing them. I don't need to careful, like a lot of the meta builds. One thing that always bothered me with the meta builds is most of them are really high damage, really low health. Not all of them, but a lot of them will force you to kind of hop all over the screen while you're killing, and it just annoys me. I want to sit still. I want to nuke, but I want to face tank. These creatures sometimes work. That one looked bad. Some of them have mods that will get through. Figure that out because it bugging me. Another thing with this though is don't ever do the events until you've cleared the whole map. That's a really important thing here when you get delirium. Left out of a lot of guides. There's a few that do tell people, but left out of a lot of them. You want to clear the entire map, then do the boss after you've done the whole standard map, including events. So the idea is to kill as many mobs and stack the delirium level as high as possible before you do the boss. The only event I really leave is like Blight. I'll usually do Blight before the boss. Yeah, make sure you do the boss at the very end because he's a free level. So if you do it at like level 6 or 7 delirium, you're getting a low quality level out of the boss. If you do it after the whole map and you've gotten delirium to like level 12, then you're getting level 13 delirium and it's much, much more valuable. Much harder to get that 11, 12, 13th level than it is 7. So just make sure you're clearing the map. To help you optimize your earnings per map. I have a pretty heavy filter on too. It's not as heavy as some people use. But I do like roof stuff. Not doing it much here because the league's almost over, but I do like picking up items and examining. I'm at a point now where just a waste of time. But normally earlier in the league, I'll be looking for those yellows that I can use. But at this point, IDing all those items is just a waste of draw turn. See if this one is the creature type that can kill. So, as with most delirium maps, we have summoned Jedi Master Bob. I hate him. As I said before, this build does not do tremendous amounts of damage like a lot of meta builds. So the unique bosses are not particularly dangerous, but don't kill them particularly quick, so... some of them I'll drag through the map as I slowly kill them, clearing the map. Jedi Master Bob I will avoid. Absolutely awful with his black holes and his abilities. They're just awful. See, now I got Jedi Master. Black holes. Just want my loot, Bob. Pick up my loot. drag him into a corner, wait for him to use channeled ability, and have to just walk away from it. So if you're ever having to deal with old Jedi Master Bob here, just put him in a corner off somewhere where there's no events that you want to do. Tank him until he goes into either his swing like that, or... well, that's not the swing, but that one works too. He's got two channels. One where he summons the large black hole like that, and then another one where he'll start flinging things out of his swords. Either one works, and you can just dip out after putting him in a corner when he does that. You don't have the type of damage to kill him. That'll keep him away from the other events that are important to do. There are some events that mess with other events. I've noticed that the shrines will appear less, a lot less, when there's Einhart. They appear a lot less when there are, what are they? Got a Beyond monster. This one's not particularly dangerous, but he is annoying. He has a lot of health, and I don't do a lot of damage. So I'll probably just ignore him. Neither one of these shrines is particularly good, but I don't want Consecrated Ground where the creatures heal themselves, and neither one of the bonuses for that is good anyway. I'll just take the boss one. It's not particularly good either, but hey. Extra is extra. But we're not going to do the boss yet, because as I said, we need to stack the delirium levels and stuff. Also, make sure when you're doing the delirium orbs, make sure you're focusing on divination and scarab as the priorities. But currencies are okay too. They're cheaper, they're not quite as good farm-wise, but they do pay well. Relative. Blast Blower and Vol, the other one's good. Torch doesn't matter in my build, I'm immune to it. So that's a good negative for us to pick in my build. And it's got basic currency, has a chance to multiply. Plus quantity rarity, very, very good one. This is what I was talking about, that we're worrying about them changing in the next patch. Because if they change what I think they're changing, we're only going to get that quantity. We'll no longer get the rarity, and we will no longer get the basic currency. And that's a very worrisome thing. Because it could make these shrines absolute garbage, to be honest with you. But for now, another 6 days, we'll enjoy it. Hopefully longer, but we'll see. I know I'll probably get a lot of crap for this, but I hate Expedition. I will not do it. excuse. I hate the event. It's not fun. I do not find it enjoyable. I understand that it does amplify my end rewards through delirium, but I don't care. If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. That's this is one of the things we're looking for right there. It is fantastic when that. Go over those in just a minute. Alt tab real quick. So, again, you can see that our inventory is already full. We still have about a quarter of the map left, plus all events, plus boss. So we'll go ahead and take this back to town and empty our inventory. So I'm not going to be too deep on the breakdown of the value here. If you guys want to, evaluate through, you can look through. I'm not going to break down the exact value. I've been doing this for a while. It's 200 to 500 plus, I promise. And that's going to be maps, going to be the cards that you get, chaos, the divines that will drop, the miscellaneous items you can sell, which are expansive. There are a lot of variations of things that drop. The stack decks, which you can either open if you like gambling, or you can sell them directly. Really easy way to make divines early, and then when you're not so hurting for currency later, you can worry about opening them to try to get one of those big gamble cards. You're getting scarabs, get all kinds of things. So we're not going to go too deep into the breakdown there of the little specifics, but the total value, like I said, this is one emptying. Still have to go back in. I still have to clear the rest of the map. I still have to do all the events. I still have to kill the boss. There's a lot more stuff. You will have to spend a good bit maintaining this type of thing, but it's nowhere, not even close. Maybe 25% of your earnings go back into buying the stuff to keep. So like you'll see here, I have 481 chaos. I have 5 divines. Not a lot of money, because at this point, I had spent a lot building my gear. I've burned through a couple hundred divines building the gear for this build. But this build was completely doable off a couple divines. I started doing this kind of farm with, I think, 200 chaos. That was it. Now that's a far cry from the strength of my build now, but my point is, you can invest almost nothing and be able to get to the point that you generate a huge amount of currency. So I don't want people who play this game to think, and this is a big part of why I want to do this channel and start doing these videos, is I don't want the people who play this game to think that if you're not playing a meta build, or if you're not part of that 1%, that you can't get to this content, that you can't build this gear. I want you guys to understand that you can do this. It's not difficult. Of course, it's going to take time. You got to play the game. You got to learn the things to do. You got to learn what the different things in the builds do, how they work with each other. If you want to follow a guide, then you're at the mercy of a guide, and there's no problem with that. Plenty of players do that. You can do that. But it shouldn't be religion. I want you guys to understand, if you follow a guide, it's a good start. But once you've kind of hit that point where you're comfortable in the end game, and if you learn anything from these videos on how to earn 200 to 500 plus, you can invest that into that build you're playing. You can make it better. The guide is not the top, not where you stop. That guide does not know everything. There are plenty of ways that you can continue to improve on these builds. So I want people to understand that. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm playing Wild Strike. cleared out the inventory. These random yellows I accidentally picked up garbage. We'll go back in here. And blights are not great for me, by the way, in this build. But even if I succeed at the entire blight, it is massive. If I fail the blight, it's still massive because of how much it amplifies the delirium level. That's the whole reason I do it. There are things that I will do. I came into this league late. There are things that I will do next league that will make this even better. No, I didn't get to my headhunter. I've got the ghetto headhunter jewel. I didn't earn enough to get to the headhunter, unfortunately. And I know that everybody is obsessed with mage blood. My buddy's got a mage blood. He offered to let me use it towards the end of the league when he was most done. It's a big damage boost. It's a big amplifier. I don't know for this particular build which one will work better, Mage Blood or Headhunter. I'll have to test them. Next league I will definitely have the money to buy both, so that won't be a big deal. I'll know which one I like more for this build. That's neither here nor there. Just something I didn't get to. Started this league about halfway through. No big deal. But even now, I still play around with this build. I still find ways to improve it. If something bothers me, I sit down and I evaluate my build. I evaluate the skill points. When I have enough money, I start playing with things, spending, and trying to find ways to do things. That's an important thing that players need to always remember. Is testing is important. Testing is always important. Alright, so let's see what we got on some of these fragments. So I said earlier that fragments are super important. I got off on a tangent, I walked away, cleared part of the map, remembered that they were here on the ground. So these items are especially important to always identify because fragments will give you a locked-in stat. You are specifically looking for tier 1 stats. Tier 2 will work in some cases, but in most cases, if it's not a tier 1 lock, crap. It's not even worth bothering with. Very few cases will a tier 2 be worth. But that's the premise of doing this, is you're looking for that tier 1 stat. You obviously want it to be on a good base, but even bad bases, a tier 1 fragment can be really valuable. So like here. These are armor energy shield boots. They're not a good base, but it's tier 1 intelligence. And it's almost perfect tier 1 intelligence. So if you have a strength build or a dexterity build that is severely lacking intelligence, this can be a valuable base to sell, because the person will get a huge chunk of the intelligence that they need for their gear or their gems. You can roll this with the harvest machine or with just chaos until it lands, because you've already locked in one valuable stat. And with a little bit of work, or I should say a little bit of currency, you can sell this for a few divines. It's not a good base. If it was a good base, a top-end base, it'd be worth a lot more. But again, with us having 6 days left, I'm not going to bother crafting with it. I will show you guys my fracture tab when I'm done here. I will show you the absolute insane amount of drops that I've built up in a little over a month of playing this league. But for now, we're going to continue. We're going to look just through here and see if there's any fragments. You know, you learn as you play what the tier 1s mostly are. You can kind of just ID and throw. But the fragments can turn out to be massively valuable. Now, you can find things that are worth a mirror. It's going to be super rare, but it can happen. Like the Ancient Gauntlets. They're a good base. Not the best, but they're, I think, 3rd or 4th from the top. Not a bad base, but the lock is not good. So that fragment creature did not give us anything good. Like I said, we'll go back to my tab, my stash, and I'll show you the type of buildup you'll get playing for a month, a little over a month. And mine's slow. In all honesty, what I'm going to show you guys is probably rather low. I don't power clear. I have friends that do. They play meta builds like Spark. They have insane damage, insane clear. One of my buddies used to play this, and he used to burn through these maps 20-30 seconds a map. And he would just spam hundreds of them a day, and I ran with him for a little bit, and it actually hurt my eyes trying to keep up with him. Not fun. And if people love doing those speedruns, then more power to them, man, but I can't do it. The game's not fun that way. I like to take my time. I like to look the items over. I like to think about things. I like to enjoy the encounters. I like to stop, you know, and like the shine. Like, look, okay, here, what I got. Cartographers, not valuable to me, but a great way to sustain your map. I'll show you guys my stash on that too, and why this isn't something you target for very long anyway. Scarabs. Scarabs down here are very good. You got to be careful. Here, the flask charges. That can get really dangerous. Really, really dangerous. So this one is safer, but it's on the map boss. Don't want to stack too much on the map boss. He's not particularly dangerous, but with enough of these, he can get you. He can get you real bad. Down here, it's a flask reduction. I don't really like either one of these, but the flasks aren't a huge deal to me in this build. I have a lot of sustain with my leech, so I can do them without much trouble. So I won't worry too much about flask reduction. That one wasn't bad either. I have the double shrine bonus and negative through the Atlas tree, and that one didn't proc that, so it was just a single. Normally the flask reduction would be 100%. That's get any charge. Got all that clear. You can do rituals as well, just as a side note. They will amplify the deliriums, but I don't like ritual. Got the boss down there. We won't do him until after Cassia. So I'll hop around here. Look for the shrines, because like I mentioned earlier in the video, I do the shrine nodes on the Atlas tree specifically to make Blight eat. Because the Blights can get really ugly if you get enough vines. Again, not an issue for a Spark build. I'm not a meta. So, we got a shrine down here. Also, Crucible is ending, so this won't be here. But normally, I would do Crucible. Normally, and this is part, I want you guys to understand, this is another part. When Crucible goes core, which it will because it's already been shown as part of PoE 2. So you can 100% expect Crucible to go core. Guaranteed. When is the question? But this is a big thing here. So I am a jeweled foil user in my build. Jeweled foils are what I target for Crucible so that I can find upgrades, which I'm not going to find an upgrade for this, especially not before the league end. But this is almost a perfect sword. There's a very small window. It's about 30 to 50 divine for me to upgrade this to this. So I have spent some money on the weapon. But again, you can do it with a lower one. Anyway, my point being, I crucible the weapons I use because what I'm looking for is a rampage sword. And the chances of that happening are ungodly low. It's worth 300 plus divines if I was to find one. In a normal league. At the end of the league now, it's only worth about 150 to 200 divines. But it is a massive score if you find them. And even if you don't, most of these swords can be thrown into a 50 chaos sale tab. They will sell, because there are always people looking for these to merge with other ones. Jeweled foil is a very expensive base. The best base for sword. So if you get some, generally I won't even worry about looking at the nodes. I'll do a quick look for the rampage that I'm targeting. But if I don't see rampage, I'm throwing this fucker in a 50 chaos tab for sale, and I'm moving about my life. And if a couple days go by and those swords don't sell in that tab, I move it down to my 30 chaos tab, then my 20, and then my 10. And if they don't sell by then, they go in the trap. But it is an easy way to stack that chaos on the map. Like I said, 200 to 500 plus. That sword can be anywhere 10 to 50 or more, just depending on what your RNG gives you out of the Crucible. So we'll go ahead and toss it in here. We got this weapon, that because it's this. So we'll go ahead and do this. And at my point, I don't really need to move much. I still won't do brutal on this. And I definitely won't do deadly. Or not, sorry, not brutal. I'll do brutal. It's deadly I won't do. I can mostly face tank this, but sometimes it's hit or miss on brutal with my build. Sometimes I can tank it, sometimes I can't. It's never a good form to tank it. I've got to fix it. But it's never a good form to tank it, but we'll see. See if I can take it. It just depends on the mods they have. See, so this guy here chunks me if I stand still. If I move around, he doesn't get me much with the mechanic. But I'll target these smaller creatures, get rid of them. They're just extra damage I don't want to. Then I'll go back to the boss or see if I can have. It looks like for them. So you see, it's not too bad. My build is so tanky that I can just face tank a brutal yellow mob from the Crucible. But this isn't always the case. Like I said, some of these will kill me. Some of these will outright just rip my face off. Brutal is always a toss-up. If I keep it below brutal, no problem. I have no issue clearing those out. But 78-80% threshold is how you identify these swords in only one. If you don't do that Crucible at 78-80-ish%, you're not going to finish one of these swords in one go. You're going to need 2 maps, and that's obnoxious because you're losing 50 plus chaos. I don't want to do that. So we did this sword. Take a gander. That is a very good first node. This, in a normal league, would have been worth 50 chaos easy. That is a tier 1 node. It is the best node of that type. That is very valuable. Not so great. The rest of these, no good. No good on the rest of these nodes, but that tier 1 is valuable. That is easily a 50 chaos sale. We will call that 50 towards our total. Okay, so the rest of this is done. We'll go grab our shrine down here that we saved. Always save the shrines for the lights, Cassia. Always, always, always. Since I have the shrine, this one shrine is 2. Now I have 2 shrines. And I apologize ahead of time for FPS. It's going to be crap. I have to fix my video. We got lucky. We got 1 vine. Whole bunch of blights active. 1 vine. No problem with frost or very, very lucky. We're going to do some amplifiers over here by actual thing. And then we're going to do CC nodes here. We'll boost these up, but we mostly want to concentrate these towards crossway. See, now we're starting to get some more. We're going to get some points built up. Main path is over here. We want to start funneling them here. They will get through if we don't. We want to do the final, the big amplifiers are going to be right. So we're going to do that cross, do that one. Need to get myself boosted up here. Again, I am terribly sorry about the FPS. No, it is awful. I will figure this out. So we've got our towers doing their work over here. Activate a couple. As you can see, I can face tank a lot of this without really any issue. God, that is just terrible to look at. We'll activate this one, we'll weaken them, because I already have the boost to my right, so we'll weaken the enemies to the left. Might actually. This is FPS. I'll show all the drops afterwards, but... So, I've got them pinned here. I've got the unique held in place. My build flashes damage off of him, which kills anything else that's coming in. As you can see, all of the red is dead. You know, we got lucky. We got lucky with a single pathway there. So it was really easy to control that, because I didn't have multiple vines going out from the pump. And without multiple pumps, or multiple vines going out from the pump, really easy to control, because all of your damage is concentrated. So, my video is screwing up, but with the items turned off, you can see the vine flashing, and you can see how the path comes out, and it converges right there. Right here where my character is, it converges. So all of the towers that I want to max are going to be right here. I'm going to put my bonus ones, the greens, for weakening the enemy and scaling myself right here next to the pump. And then the ice and the, I think it's earth, the fist, you're going to want to put them around here. And you typically want to do the right side ice and the left side fist first. The left side fist will slow them all down drastically. It will petrify them. Right side ice does significant damage while slowing. You get those two fully leveled, you can do one more of each on the opposite one. And that will put the ice prisons down, which will help you stall the mobs if you're having issues, if you don't do damage like I do, or one of the meta builds. And then the other fist will do a full-time permanent slow. So the left fist, I believe, petrifies periodically, stopping them. The right fist does a permanent slow. The right ice does high damage plus slow. The left ice does prisons to keep them from moving forward. In my point of view, those are the most important towers besides the ones that will scale you up and scale the enemy down, which are the green one that does the green fist, and then the green arrow that goes down. On top of that, the other thing is these. If you look at the buff I have here on my ring, which it's going to pop up on the stream in a sec. Right there. I do not. I do not have a walk only. The enchant I have on my rings, 20% action speed. You stack it. Both rings have it. So as long as I am in range of one of those green towers, I'm gaining 40% action speed. That is all actions. Attacks, movement, casts. And it amplifies in my build with all other speed modifiers. It is massive in Blight. It is better than any other enchant currently. That might change in the next league, because they're doing the Keystone, which is going to give you the ability to scale your towers up to 300% damage, which is massive, but you only do 25% damage. So the Keystone in the next build in 3.22 is going to give you the option to make this a true tower defense. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. It's going to really make people want to get the Blight gear, because there is gear that you can equip that helps scale the towers up. So there's going to be a lot of different things you can do with Blight on itself. And like I said, look at my delirium levels. They're up to 12 now. Cleared the map, and I cleared Blight. And I've got 12, halfway through 12. That is probably about as high as you're going to get it under normal circumstances on a 60. To get your deliriums, sorry if I said Blight, to get your deliriums above 12, it's going to be very difficult without going to 4 or 5 orbs, which is 80 to 100% delirium. It gets very dangerous when you do that. That is not a normal farm. A normal farm is 60%. Anything above that really takes either a meta build or something that has been tuned really, really well and can do a massive amount of damage and survive a lot of punishment. Even most of the top people, they don't do that. 60% is kind of the given where people go. But your 1%. Your 1% are going to be the people that are going to do those 80 and 100% deliriums. I'm not that 1%. This is another thing I want to point out here. When you complete these blights, you will get these pieces of jewelry. They they will have preset enchants on them. And certain ones are extremely valuable. I've made a list of these. Fix this driving me nuts. Trying to think of the best way for me to show the list. I'll worry about it later. I'll put it somewhere later in the stream. I'll switch the application, and I'll show you guys the list of the valuable ones. It's a personal list that I created. I went through all of the enchants, and I specifically targeted ones that had 3 good oils, and this is why you want to do this. I'll show you right here. So I don't know how this tree is going to change in the next patch, but these 2 right here, Blight Spawn and Distilled Fungus. So I'm going to leave these up for a second so everyone can see them. Distilled Fungus. Drop an additional Anointed Jewelry, or chance of the jewelry I'm talking about with the enchants pre-done on them. The other one, Blight Spawn. Oil Extractor. Blight chests in your maps have a 10% chance to have an oil extractor. So we'll see real quick. I'll come back to this. I'll see if the chests give me a extractor so that you guys can see if you don't know what it looks like. So where you are in the game will depend if you sift through all these. There's nothing wrong with identifying these, particularly wands. I'm not going to do that because I don't need to. I'm generating so much currency from these maps, just not worth my time. But it was worth my time prior to getting to this point. So, particularly wands. Identify as many wands as you can, because if they have those +1s to different skills, they're valuable. Particularly if it's all spell skill. Big money there if you happen across them. So always good to identify those. Mixed amulets, mixed jewelry in general, amethyst rings, 2-stone rings, and then the really high rings, which are steel and oh, that's one. Held down my. So these rings that you saw me showing the enchant earlier, these opal rings, these are going to be specific to builds, elemental damage, and wild strike. These things are bread and butter for me. They're massive for my damage. Each of these rings is, I think, 10,000 base character sheet damage. So if I go here into my character sheet, you can see right there above my mouse, damage per second. Again, it's not a meta build, but my base damage is 155,000. Wild strike is very sneaky. This 155,000 is not even remotely close to the damage I do. And if any of you play this game, you know that because you saw how quickly I cleared out these packs. Bosses are slower for me. Packs, I'll annihilate them with the build. That 155,000 will scale to about 500,000 shown in the character sheet during combat. But the true damage I'm putting out is somewhere between 5 and 10 million because of the amount of splash I do. Not going to do that on single target though. Single target will be massive if there are other mobs. So if I'm at a boss and it's spawning creatures, as long as I have 2 or 3 mobs basically, my build will do millions. But the moment I lose those mobs and I only have 1, I'm going to drop down to maybe 1 to 2 million DPS. It's going to get much more painful. It's just the way this build is. It's what I've accepted. There are some things that I've learned to do that help it, but it's never going to be that boss nuke build. It's just not. I've accepted that. I love Wild Strike. I'll sit there and I'll just beat the boss to death because the way I've set it up, he ain't gonna kill me either. And I'll get into the tank maybe later in the video to show you guys. But I essentially have, I brought it up, I'll just show the defense. So I'm capped in almost every single defense category. Literally. I have soft cap, armor. Technically hard cap. I'm up at 90% once my my endurance procs. And I have 52% evasion. Not going to be able to cap that, just can't. Capped armor, that was more important. The amount of evasion I have is very high for what you can normally get to already. Energy shield, ignore it. It's endless. Because of my shield and my block rating, I have infinite energy shield. I'll get back to that in a minute. Suppress spell damage, 53%. That... I have to figure that out. Something. That's supposed to be at 100%. I'm not sure why. I'm stupid. It's 100% right there. The reduction is 53%. But you can see that I have 100% suppression right there in the sheet. I'm just retarded and missed that slot with the one below it. So I have 75% on all my elemental resistances. You can see that cold's a little bit above. I think it's... I don't remember which item does it, but something I have somewhere. I'll have to figure it out. But something I have does the extra 5%. Doesn't really matter. A little bit extra cold. But you can see that I have 75 to all 3 resists plus chaos. Every single resist is maxed. Armor is maxed. My evasion is 2/3 of the way to max. My suppression is maxed. I continue down here. My spell block is 36%. This is very difficult to get in my build, because if you look right there, 75% attack block. I've capped block. Spell block is just not attainable. And the thing is with the skill tree, this suppression and this spell block have purposely been put on opposite ends of the tree so that you cannot do both. GGG does not want you stacking these two stats. I found a way to at least get a large chunk. The suppression is more important. It is a better stat than spell block. Period. There's no arguing that. There's no way around that. Suppression at 100% halves every single spell hit lands on you. Spell block negates it entirely, but can never stop them all. This is why I tried to do both. So I've halved every single bit of magic damage that I'm going to take, and then 36% of that is going to be completely negated, or opposite terminology, however you want to look at it. You get it. I'm negating 36% of all spell damage, and what does get through is half. I'm negating 75% of attacks, so I'm only taking 25%. 25% of attacks that get through. The physical ones are negated by 80%. Magical ones, again, are negated by 75 or 80, depending on the element. I have a lot of reductions going on here. And these aren't all of them, too. When I'm in combat, there are even more that are actively being applied. If you look, I have 20 stacks of Fortify. That's an additional 20% damage reduction. Not physical, not magical, all. Right there, 1% less damage from hits per fort. So everything that is considered a hit, which is a spell and an attack, reduced by 20%. Top of everything else I have. I love mitigation builds, and I love doing this. I found a way to just stack it. So anyway, coming back to the Blight here. Let's open up our chest. Let's see what we get. Nothing. There. No good oils. There is a you know, might be my damn. Shouldn't be playing. Gonna mess with the stream for a second. It'll my window full screen issue there. That might have been my whole video issue the whole time. I hate playing on full screen though because I can't alt tab for other things going on my second monitor, but whatever. We do still have a little bit of tearing, so I'll have to restart the game or mess with stuff. But right. That's where I was. There is a I'll show it when I get back to camp. There's a charged compass you can apply that will make all oils 1 level higher, permanently, always. A good way to get silver, opalescent, gold, much more often, which is very valuable to sell. You'll never have to use them. Sell them, they become valuable. Oh, overall, very disappointing chests. Usually you get a lot more from the Blight chest. Very bad Blight. Hey, RNG, can't control it. So we pretty much cleared the map. We're gonna go do the boss real quick. And then we'll go back to the hideout. Beyond monsters, by the way, are trash. Frickin' trash. I wish they didn't do this. Beyond is absolute garbage now. GGG just ruined that event. Their currency is just absolute crap. So again, I'll sit here, I'll face tank the boss. I don't care about his delirium enhancements, they don't matter. If you watch the boss's health at the top, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's not awful, but it's not good. And that's just got something you gotta accept with my build. It's just not meant for a solo enemy like this. But I've scaled it enough where it's not bad. It takes me 30-40 seconds, the boss dies, I move on. And yeah, sorry I didn't see your chat till now, Jessica. I've done 100 too. It's awful. 80's bad enough. 100 is... Man, it is next level. It is insane how hard they made 80 and 100. You can get away with 80, like I said. I've got a couple hundred divine into my build now. 80 is hit or miss. I'd say about 50-50 I can do them. It's not too bad. I will almost always try, because if I can do it in one map, it's a free sword. Free 50 plus chaos. I don't like taking 2 maps to do these swords. I did it earlier when I wasn't as strong. I accepted that I had to do a sword over 2 maps of Crucibles, but at this point, I don't need to. Most of the time I can handle the 80. But absolutely, Jessica, absolutely. Hundreds are just, they're just no-goes. They're 1% meta-ers, and I talked to my buddy who runs Spark. He's got about a mirror worth of gear into his Spark character, a lot, and he runs with his wife, who's an Aura bot. So like they're up there when it comes to damage, and he won't even do hundreds. He flat out told me he will not do them. He could hop around the screen and spend 5 minutes letting out sparks until they all die, but it's just a waste of time. It's not worth it. It's annoying as hell. Well, I hope they tune that. I do hope they tune the Crucible, because the 80 and the 100 are a little too hard in my opinion. Okay, so let's see what I can remember that I went over. Oh, right. So first thing we'll do is I'll show you my fracture. Here. So I got rid of all the lower fractures. This current tab on my screen, the fractures that I collected over a month, all tier 1 fractures. Every single one of these is a tier 1 fracture. So you really won't lack finding these in the maps if you're running them like this, because those creatures that are the fractured creatures, they will drop a set of anywhere 5 to 10, 15 of these at a time. And it's just a matter of IDing them all and finding the ones that are tier 1s. You got a whole tab to work with. I never got around to this because I didn't need to, but like, I have this entire tab of tier 1 fractures that I could have crafted and then sold. I wouldn't be surprised if I could get hundreds of divines or more out of this entire tree if I spent the time crafting it. But I didn't need to. I was generating so much currency during this league in my setup that I never needed to spend the time not playing the game and crafting to make currency, because the maps themselves were just generating so much. So if you enjoy crafting and you want to do it, this is going to generate a lot of these items for you to work with. And like up in the top right corner here, I set aside some particularly good rolls. So like, you'll check out this Opal Scepter here. Tier 1 combo. So if I hold it down here, you can see. Tier 1 chosen, locked in place. That is insanely valuable. I just didn't spend the time rolling it. But that item is easily hundreds of divines if I spent the time rolling it correctly. It is insanely rare to get a fractured combination mod like that, but it does happen. I think I maybe have 2 or 3 over the entire course of the league, but very, very super valuable item. Let me see. There's another one right there. Unfortunately, this one is poison, not quite as valuable, but tier 1 physical damage can be scaled extremely high with the right crafting. That one's all cold spell gems, not the best, but not the worst. You know, all skill gems would have been insanely valuable. Amethyst ring with locked in tier 1 strength. Sorry, tier 2. I kept that one because stats are so damn important to builds. Every single high-end build has to stack strength, int, or dex depending on the build type. And if you don't already know this, you are going to learn that you need anywhere from 50 to 100 of the stats or stats that are hardest for you to get, your non-functional stats. I'll show you what I mean right here. So if you look at my right side ring, I'm a duelist. Massive dexterity, secondary strength, third int. The strength and the int on this one ring, which this ring, I believe I paid 20 divine for that ring towards the end of the league. Earlier it would have been more expensive, but that one ring has such a high amount of both stats that it took care of what I needed to maintain my skill gems. That's the big thing. My gear is all dual armor evasion because I had way too much armor from determination. I didn't need it. So I moved these. That's also how I capped out spell suppression, was mixed armor. Spell suppression only appears on dexterity gear or mixed dexterity. Dexterity has to be a base. But back to what I was saying. Ring, yeah. You have to stack these stats. So it's very important to pay attention to that and look for these, particularly in fractures, because they're very valuable. People will pay huge amounts of money for high stats, one or two. Like I said, that ring, I dished out 20 divine to buy it from another player because it was just the stats. And the rest of the stats, if you look at it, they're not good. The cold damage to attacks is great for me, but it's not the best level. The life is mediocre at best. The regen is useless because I disable regen in my build. I'm pure life leech. From I'll go into it later, but it's I can't remember what it's called, but it disables regen to give you double life leech. Mana's useless, and then perfect chaos res. That was the other thing I was targeting here. I needed stats, but I had to have perfect chaos res. You guys saw my chaos res is exactly 75%. Exactly. I cannot spare 1% or I lose cap. So both my rings had to be exactly 35%. There's some leeway in some other pieces that I could have done if I invested more currency, like here. This one's only got 26%, but I hit tier 1 suppression. I couldn't let go of tier 1 suppression. I needed that for the 100%. So it's juggling. The endgame crafting in this game, there's so much damn juggling that you have here. That or you just buy it from other players that have done it. But the crafting is fun. I enjoy it. Okay, so anyway, back to this tab. So you'll see, like I said, you really have no issue finding the fractures. They're a great way to make money. Tier 1s. You're always just looking for these tier 1s. So like there, +1 to level of socketed gem. So that's an all boost. It's only going to be to the 6 that go into that bow, but it's still a good one. Nothing I have in here is close to that though. This was just, I should have built this out. Didn't. Fair enough. League got towards the end, and then. So let me see. What else can I kind of show you guys? You can see that I can't stand Delve. Like that event. My Blights, or not Blights, sorry. My Metamorph, I also do not like Metamorph. I end up ignoring most. I've done them so much over the last 7 or 8 years playing them. They're just not fun to me. And oddly enough, I did not used to like Blight. I never liked Blight until I started doing Delirium because it scales it so damn hard. And now I have so many Blights, I don't even know. I could have sold these. Again, this is another massive amount of currency that I lost that you could be making selling these to other players. These Blight maps are worth huge amounts of money. It's just a huge amount of money. The oils are mostly useless, as you can get some high ones. But this is the extractor. That's what I wanted to show you back in the map. So this oil extractor, you'll find in 10% of chests out of the Blight with the Atlas node I showed you. So this extractor can be used to destroy this enchanted item. If you destroy that item, you will then get one of the oils that was specifically used in the enchant recipe. So what I did was I just went and I made a list of all the enchants for amulets and rings, that can yield at least 2 valuable oils. I did not think it was worth it to do it to everything that had 1 because the extractors are only 10%. So if I had a 2 and 3 chance of getting a gold, I wrote it on my list. Good way for me to. Guess I can switch my stream from application to screen for show the list. Give me 1 second. And at least people who see the video and the people that are watching, you guys can see. Come on, GG. Yeah. So, give me 1 second and I'll up the list up. Probably have this anyway. There's a better way to do this in OBS. Okay, so we'll move that so that you can still see me, ugly mug, on the webcam. Okay, so this rusty sticky note, everything. Fit it all on. There we go. So this is the list. So if you guys look at this list, if you want to save it, I'll leave it up for a few minutes for anyone who views this video later and the people who are watching live. Thank you guys, by the way, for watching. This list has at least 2 golds in it. You have a 2 and 3 chance of breaking one of these down with the extractors from the Blight event, and 66% chance you get a gold. And you can sell that for anywhere from 50 to 100 chaos, depending on just where in the league we are in the valley. So this is another way to really scale that income up out of the map. The separation here. So above that line are amulets. Below that line are rings. No, that's backwards. Below that line is amulets. Above that is. I don't even. Cooldown. Yeah. So amulets is these. So the bottom one is amulets. The top part is ring. So you can target these with your extractors if you have the points in the tree, and a big boost to your income. See? Play to show you guys. So again, you know, the sword, the crucible, 50 chaos, easy. Got lucky, got a perfect roll on the very first note. So here, this is another thing here. You see this? You guys don't already know to do this. This is super valuable. Have these tabs. 50, 20, or 30. It's late in the league, so I switched my 30 to a 20. But normally it would be like 50, 30, 20, 10. But we're so late in the league, I had to drop them down because nobody's playing, nobody's paying. So I throw it in the 50. Probably won't sell before the end of the league, but maybe there's somebody who's still looking for it. Otherwise, it would have sold pretty quick. This is kind of my setup, though, is I do those tabs for sale. This ends up being able to sell things very, very quickly. I feel are in those price lines. And then I don't have to worry about trying to price this crap out. Pricing things out. And then I'll have one quad tab. Another good piece of advice here for you guys. I will always do a quad tab specifically for things to be sold like this. And a lot of this is just learning. You've got to learn what things are worth. That is a time thing. The trade window that they have on their website, it works. It's gaudy, inefficient. It is poorly set up just to be nice. We'll say poorly set up, but it works. You can find what you need to compare and find prices. Now, so like helmets like this was something that I learned a long time ago. It's a good way to make money. So the rest of the helmet doesn't matter. What you're looking for is the +1 to maximum power charges. This used to be a lot more valuable. People still look for these, but it is a rare roll. So once I won't do this right away, but once I kind of get settled and I have lots of extra currency, I will sit here. I will collect these helmets first off. I'll buy them from player. Players will sell these Warlord influence helmets for 10 or 20k. I'll buy them in bulk and I'll start rolling them with chaos until I hit +1 to maximum power charge. There are stipulations. Don't think that you can just do that and it's worth money. It's not. You have to learn that there are certain things you have to do with this. And if you look at it, you can see that I got lucky with this one and I got the max power charge plus a tier 2 life. Key, though, is that the suffixes aren't locked. There is an open suffix, which means I can go to the crafting bench, and I can lock the prefixes, protecting power charge, the tier 2 life, and then I can craft out suffixes, and then I can slam in the last prefix. If that doesn't make sense, I completely understand. It's okay. It's a deep endgame crafting. The crafting in this game is very deep. It's very shallow at the beginning, but as you learn more and more, the crafting gets very, very intricate. And you can craft some very valuable things if you know what you're looking for and how to do it. I know a lot, but what I know is still a fraction of what this game is capable of with things like crafting. I don't know the mirror crafting. I've never gotten to that. That is the 1% player. Mirrors are that 1%. It's doable, very expensive, not something I will probably ever do, and I'm fine with that. It's not who I am, it's not my gameplay. It's too much work. No longer a game at that point. You're talking about having groups working together, and there's a lot put into doing mirror. There are tons of videos about it. You guys can see it if you haven't yet. It's cool to watch those people do the crafts, the mirror crafts, but it is a hell of a lot of intense work to get an item to that point. But anyway, that's just a little thing of easy way to make money. If you target it correctly, good prefix. You know, there's always a chance that the prefixes, you'll get the power charge, but they'll be locked. And then you have to risk a null, to try to get one of the two other prefixes off. As long as you open it up, or the suffixes, sorry. If you get 3 suffixes, you have to try to annul one off so that you can lock in the prefixes and craft it and yada yada yada. It's a whole nother video. Way too much to go into. Just kind of you see some other items that so this, I had this up for a lot more, but it's towards league end. This isn't particularly valuable as a shield. It is an amazing shield. Prior to the shield I have, I'm using Aegis Aurora. Prior to that gross endgame shield, I was using this because it's just a good, powerful shield. So if you're a shield wearer, this is fantastic before you switch to Aegis if you can use Aegis in your build. The reason this is valuable is that I got Sanctuary. Sanctuary is very good. It's not like best ever, but it is a very powerful node because Atlas Tree, getting a free large notable. That's valuable. Right, I'm on. Thank you. It's just a powerful notable, so that made the shield significantly more valuable. The shield itself normally would only be worth about 50 to 100 chaos, but it's worth about 4 or 5 divine because of that. People will want to get that onto their end game crucible, which building out that crucible tree is a whole nother hard. Building a proper crucible tree is very, very difficult. Any of you who played the league will know what I'm like here. My super expensive endgame weapon has three crucible nodes. That's it. I quit. I stopped at that. I got the perfect global damage tier 1, which allowed me the perfect global attack speed. So gaining 40 global damage here, losing 20 of it here, but I'm gaining 40% attack speed, which is insane for my build. And then the third one wasn't good, it was just not bad. 65% duration of my charges. Just what I targeted. There were obviously significantly better things I could have extended this onto if I had more time, but again, I came into the league very late, so I didn't really have time to fully build this out. And it is very expensive to do that. So once you get like the first two, and then you build out the third. So I'll start over for a second. Two different ways you can build out a crucible tree. The first one is from the tier 1 to 5. The second one is from the tier 5 backwards to 1. The proper way to do it is from tier 5 backwards, because you need to start with a rampage weapon, but that requires hundreds of divine or god tier luck. So most people don't do that. Most people do like I did from tier 1 out towards 5. And to do this, you have to get your perfect first 3. Whatever you deem your build's perfect first 3 nodes have to be perfect. And then you have to beast imprint it to protect it. By the way, you know imprinting can't be a rare. It has to be a white. They're white or blue. I think magic is okay. To be able to imprint it, it has to be magic. So it has to be an uncrafted item. And then you imprint it with the 3 you want, which costs 2 divine per imprint. And then you attempt your 4th. And since Crucible has a lower chance of succeeding the further out you go, you have like a 20% chance of succeeding at the 4th one. So you can see how that can quickly turn into a lot of imprints, a lot of divine, a lot of cost. It sucks. But it's a super endgame thing, you know? You've got tons of currency, you're farming, you're getting multiple divine a map or whatever. You don't care at that point. So what you have left is to try to perfect the gear you're using. But anyway, yeah, you get the 4th, you get lucky and you get the 4th, you re-imprint it. And then you start working on the 5th, which has like a 5% chance of success, I think. It's insane. But anyway, that's just to touch on it. I'm not going to go into all the Crucible stuff. Maybe I'll do that in another video. Probably not before the next league, but maybe I'll go into that when Crucible goes core, which you didn't hear me earlier. It's, from what they've said, it's going core. If it doesn't go core before PoE2, it's going core in PoE. So expect this mechanic, Crucible, to be in PoE2. Outside of that, like, this is that, so that's another good way, since we're sitting here touching on ways to make money through items. These cluster jewels are just an insane way to make money, and it's so easy to roll these. Do not do larges. If you're going to target cluster jewels to make money off of them, only do mediums or smalls. This is my 2 cents, but leave crafting larges to other people. Buy them. You can buy them for a few divine apiece. Get your perfect large if you're going to do cluster jewels in your build. Usability, there are still builds that use these extensively, but a lot less builds use them now that they revamped the tree. But these are still a really easy way to make money, especially the smalls. When you're doing delirium, you're going to come across a lot of these. And you're looking specifically for the ones that have 2 passive skills, if you see up there. This adds 2 passive skills. That means that you have to use the minimum number of skill points to get the notable. As I'll show you in my tree, I use medium, a small in my build. This small is how I get my power charges, which was one of the final endgame things I needed to add in. Because power charges crit my build, Wild Strike, at the very end of the build, once everything's been added in, crit is how you exponentially scale the damage output. So Powerful Ward was kind of my go-to to add that in, as well as some of the spell block. My medium is spell block base, again, part of the way I did it. And then oh no, I'm sorry, I changed this. I take that back. I used to have a medium. I got rid of that. I could not afford the medium. My bad. I had to remove my crit medium because I needed the point. So I actually had to scale down to just my small for power charges. Had to keep that. In my particular build, which, no, this looks fucking weird. A duelist. All the way up in the damn mage area. I know that looks really weird to a lot of people, but it works, and it works really well. Survival. There are a lot of good damage nodes in here too that help scale this particular build. And this is, I'll leave this here a little bit. I can't get it all in here. So I'll kind of just leave this on the screen for a minute, and I'll show the other one. In case any of you decide that you want to mess around with Wild Strike. And I'll try to go over some of the nuances within this build. There's a lot of gimmicks and things that I have learned work really well with this build, but Wild Strike, because of the way it works, its mechanical function, a lot of traditional things do not work with it, and a lot of traditional things will not even show its proper damage. And even POB, which I put a link on POB on my channel. If you go to my channel, you check out the POB link, you can learn to mess with a lot of different builds and a lot of playstyles with that. But Wild Strike doesn't function correctly because there's 3 different damage types, all built into one strike. So POB doesn't do a very good job of really showing it. And you have to mess around with... You just have to do a lot of theory. Which is, I guess, part of why I like it. I like testing and messing with it. But anyway, so the base of this is what I've showed you. If you go into your skill tree POB, you can look at these and kind of see it. But some of the funky things that you learn really late game to do are something like this. Glorious Vanity. Glorious Vanity is an exceptionally endgame item that you add into your build for some really weird and fun alteration of the skill tree. There are 8,000, I think. Actually, I think it starts at 300 and goes to 8,000, something like that. So I think there's 7,700 combinations of this particular jewel. This is only one jewel of 4, I think. So you're looking at 32,000 different versions of this. They all overlap each other to some extent with like what they do. So like the base of Glorious Vanity is you're trying to do this. You're trying to change a keystone. This keystone was not Immortal Ambition. Needed Immortal Ambition. So I targeted this Glorious Vanity base, but then I had to do a massive amount of checking. There's a website where you can actually mess with, you can input the numbers and you can with it. You can put in what you're looking for stats. Because Glorious Vanity, if you see the red circle, it alters every single node within that perimeter. They're all changed. This one is now crit multi. Attack damage, max life, Increase non-curse aura, which is good for me because I have a whole bunch of them. Attack speed, crit. So all of these were useful. It took me a lot of testing on that website to find the glorious vanity that I needed that did not screw up any of these nodes that I needed to keep. The other difficulty was because it changes this huge area, couldn't put it in any of the normal gem slots like for here. Couldn't put it here. Sorry, here. I'll come back to this gem later, but couldn't put it here because it would alter all these key important nodes that I can't lose. So I had to pull my medium jewel out, and I had to use the points to travel here to this out of the way jewel node, which allowed me to fit this in. Mortal Ambition was originally in my build on my belt. Even, yeah. So Soul Tether was my original use, but I knew that I had to get rid of this for Headhunter eventually. So with that understanding, my only option, because they made Glorious Vanity the only other option for Immortal Ambition. So I had to do it. And I did that, which allowed me to remove this belt. For now, I'll show you the belt I'm using. Fantastic farming belt, by the way, right here. Bisco's. I love this belt. Rarity of item found is so underrated. People love quantity. I love quantity too. Quantity is only going to do so much, though. The whole basis of quantity is you are trying to make so many more things drop that one of them will be valuable. Rarity is the opposite. You don't need as many things to drop because they're all more valuable. Rarity only affects a certain pool of items, though, but it is a large pool. This takes me to another thing they're changing in the next patch. They're adding a keystone where your quantity of items will be rarity, but multiplied by 3. So you have 100 quantity, you would then have 300% rarity instead. This is going to be largely ignored. Do not ignore this keystone. Triple value rarity instead of quantity is going to be massive. You will not need a ton of quantity. You don't need a ton of items. You just need items to be more valuable. And with a 3x multiplier, it's going to be an extremely valuable keystone. Don't ignore it next league. Anyway, great belt. It gives me Rampage. This was the other thing that it gave me. I never got the Rampage sword. So this belt gave me Rampage. If you guys were watching my stream while I was clearing the map, and you saw those corpse explosions or the giant explosions of the red arrows constantly going out, those are different effects of Rampage. Rampage also passively gives you movement speed, attack speed, cast speed. It is one of the most powerful passives in the game. Rampage is huge. So Bisco's, if you can afford the belt, if you can, and I don't mean price-wise, typically Bisco's cost is resistance. You're losing resistance. I ended up buying a corrupted one, as you can see, to enhance my hatred, which made up for the damage I lost switching belts. But anyway, got off track here. Back to Immortal Ambition so that I can show you guys what it does. Look. So energy shield starts at 0. Cannot recharge or regen energy shield. Real quick, I'll address that just so you guys understand. This shield is why Immortal Ambition, they play nice together. They play amazingly nice together. So I can't regen energy shield, right? Immortal Ambition. And I lose 5% of my energy shield a second. That sucks. It's so terrible. You're losing so much energy shield. You have 1,000. What are you doing about it? Oh, I'll show you in a minute. It's not an issue. Life leech effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled. If you know what that does, then you know why that is so damn valuable. When my life is full, the leech effects, in case you don't know, stop. Life leech can be thought of like a whole bunch of strings, a bunch of tethers. You can have multiple life leech streams coming in, filling your health. But if your life hits 100%, normally they all stop. The strings get cut. You lose all the life leech, and you start spiking. You are no longer stable. This makes life leech never stop. I can be at 100% life, and every single one of those threads continues. I am leeching, I am over leeching. I get hit, I am instantly full power leeching that damage that I have taken. This is the other part of my tank ability. All packed. I mentioned earlier that I cannot regen life. This is why. I have chosen to do Vol Pact because now my leech is twice as powerful. I'm doing twice as much of it. I'm over leeching that twice as powerful leech. It is a massive amount of health regen as long as I am hitting stuff. This is why this build is damn near immortal. It has almost cap every single mitigation form. It has an insane amount of leech. Leech never stops. And then kind of the icing on the cake is Aegis Aurora. Again, if you know what this does, you already kind of know why I've added it in. If you don't, I'll explain it real quick so that you understand. Because this shield is so good in so many different builds. Every single time I block, defense tab, 75% attack block, 36% spell block. Every time I block, I receive 2% of my armor. Here, 25,000. Easy math. 10% of 25,000 is 2,500. 5% is 1,250. Half of that, 6,700. Not going to go into specifics, whatever. That means that 2% of my armor is 600 or 700, which means every single time I block, I am receiving 600 or 700 energy shield. That is health. As long as it's not chaos damage, that is health. That means on top of my insane mitigation and my insane leech, I am now earning 600 to 700 energy shield every single block at a rate of 75% against attack damage, 36% against spell damage. Spell damage is counted as pretty much anything that does magic damage, including chaos damage. I will do another map and I will show you guys how insane the energy shield proccing off this shield is. This shield runs bare minimum 2 divine, really high end ones far more expensive. I bought mine and I crucibled it and I got really damn lucky. These aren't the best nodes, but they're really good ones. So 40 to maximum energy shield. The secondary one doesn't matter because of my setup and everything I just explained. But the 40 max energy shield scales with the base energy shield that's already on the shield. That's good. This isn't the top tier one, but it's very powerful. The 24% increase to every defense rating that's on that shield. So that significantly increased my defensive stats off of the shield item that I use. This, I undervalued this till later. I did not realize how good this was until I had to add precision into my build. I have precision on my life pool as a reserve, and I'll show that in a second. But this ended up being insanely powerful. And it kept me at 100% to hit, and it gave me a whole bunch of crit. So this ended up being really, really good that I just got lucky and it was on. And then this was just like perfect synergy. 30 energy shield when I block. Obviously 30 energy shield isn't a lot, but that just turned my 600 to 700 into 630 to 730 per block. Like it was just great. These four just worked really, really well. I got really lucky. This shield, like this, during the league, if I wanted to sell this shield, I probably could have gotten a couple hundred divine off of this. These nodes were just so damn useful. All four of them were just useful. So I wouldn't have been surprised if I could have probably gotten 50 or 100. But the base, like a crappy version one, is only 2 divines. You can get yourself just a bottom end one of these for 2 divine. I know maybe to some people that's a lot of divine, but it's not. Like I said, in these maps you're earning 2 to 500 or more. It gets really easy to buy these types. This is another item I'd like to point out just for people. These amulets are ignored a lot. and they shouldn't be, because these amulets give you a free extra aura. You can target pretty much any aura on these. You just have to find the right All's Uprising. Again, this is a couple divine item, but it is worth its weight in fucking gold in almost any build. Some builds will not be able to fit it in, but if you can, it's insane because it's a 50% reserve aura that I'm getting for free. And if you look, I've got Determination, I've got Hatred, I've got Purity of Elements. This is solely, well, twofold. The Purity of Elements allows me to reduce my needed resistance on my gear, which allowed me to scale damage on my gear more, particularly the ring. So it was good for that purpose, but the bigger purpose of Elements is immunity to ailments. And you can get this in the tree, but it costs skill points, and that's the point. See right here? So if you spend an extra 2, 3, 5, 6, I believe it's 6. 5, 6, yep. No, 5, sorry, 5. So I would have to spend an extra 5 skill points to be able to get immunity to ailments. That's not the right one. It was in a different node. It was somewhere else. It's one of these masteries. One of these masteries, I'm not going to spend the time looking, but one of the masteries has it, and you got to do it something like 3 to 5 extra skill points to get. It's not worth it. It sucks. You got to really nitpick skill points when you're at this point. You just don't have extra. My character's level 98. I've got 2 points to. Anyway, so I was able to avoid it by getting it that way, and it just helped a lot in the total build. Something else that I touched on there, actually, while I am here. So these are really good. The big reason that these protection masteries are important, and you do want, I don't have this one, and I'll explain this in a minute. The two big ones on here are immunity to lower resistance and immunity to corrupted blood. Corrupted blood, you can see I don't have the resistance one anymore. I'll go into that in a minute, but I want to touch on the corrupted blood first because it's much more important. Corrupted blood is one of the nastiest abilities in this game. It will undoubtedly kill almost any build that does not have immunity to it. And some people will choose to do immunity, as I eventually did. Up here. No, I did it through this one, and I'll come back to this, but I ended up getting it through the top master. I let go of my elemental resistance immunity because I just couldn't afford the point. And I had to pick and choose because, again, I just didn't have the points to do this. So I just avoid these maps now that have lowered elemental resistance. The other thing you can do is, like you can see here that I have 95 overcap, 122, 92. So at the point I'm at, I can pretty much do lowered elemental resistance without losing any resistance. But prior to the point I'm at, very late endgame build, you can't do that. And a lowered resistance curse is going to rip your face off in tier 16 map. All of this also has to do with tier 16, so I guess that's a good caveat to like kind of put in the stream here. This is all tier 16 map quality stuff. You should not be doing any of this if you are not doing tier 16 maps. You need to push your way to tier 16 maps. And then you would do all this, because that's where you have the highest value of items drop. If it's not a tier 16, it's not worth juicing it, which refers to scarabs, divine orbs, etc. Investing currency in money, not worth doing if it's not. Just alchemy them. If it's red, alchemy and chisel. Absolutely, once you get into red maps, alchemy and chisel, every single one of them. Prior to that, alchemy. I don't care if the map is white, yellow, red, alchemy it. The amount of items you get from that one alchemy is easily earn that back tenfold, even if it's a white map. But anyway, get this, take it out later. When you have the extra resistance, take it out. But get the immunity to elemental resistance so that you can do those maps, not have to avoid them. That's just another good thing. I did this one up here, so I'll... It's really only going to pertain to people who play this build or are over in this part of the tree, but this Protection Mastery has massive amounts of Chaos Resist, 39%. This cluster right here that I'm spinning my mouse around is worth 39% Chaos Resist. It is a... So if you're in this area of the tree, you want... It's just a huge amount of resistance, plus it's one of the immunity. So I said I'd come back to this jewel right here. For anybody who heard of Headhunter, likes Headhunter, can afford Headhunter, never gets a Headhunter, get this jewel. It's like 50 chaos. It's dirt cheap. Inspired Learning. It is the ghetto version of Headhunter. It allows you to pull a mod from a rare mob just like Headhunter, but instead of 60 seconds, it only has a 20-second time. So it is 1/3 the time with that extra mod. Otherwise, it's identical to Headhunter. You can pull one mod from every single mob type, just like Headhunter. They're just going to expire 40 seconds faster. But it is insane how powerful this jewel makes you while you're mapping. 50 chaos. God tier item in my opinion. Won't leave home without it. I think that's really on the tree all I can get in. Most of these others are normal. See them. None of these, none of the rest of the stuff is really caveat. Things that you need to... I'll look through here real quick, see if there's anything else that I feel. See if there's anything else I feel that I should touch on as far as gimmicks or helpful things that are not the norm that are worth mentioning. I'll touch on this real shortly. So delirium is kind of my thing. It's my bread and butter. It's what I love doing. These delirium orbs are the key to this. So when you're early doing maps and you're doing delirium, you're going to be doing the mirrors. And the mirrors are going to be really valuable in the next league because there's a new keystone that you can put into your Atlas tree that will make the fog permanent. It will not go away. You will not get jewel clusters or delirium orbs as drops, though. While you're farming mirrors, that doesn't matter. Not what you're looking for. You will never, ever, ever farm enough delirium orbs yourself. There are people who can, but 99.9% of the general player base will never farm enough delirium orbs and will have to buy them. So while you're doing mirrors, not a big deal. You're giving up 2 very low drop rates during the mirror phase to have permanent fog, which means you're not in a race against the clock. You can clear out the mobs. The mob density is higher. You're going to get a lot more items. It's overall, it's a really good key. But as far as the delirium orbs, diviners, #1 valuable. I've already burned all of my scarab ones, but you want the scarab ones. And then the fine delirium orbs are very valuable. People don't like them as much. They don't target them the way they do divine and scarab. But the fine delirium orbs have earned me dozens of divines. I have gotten so many divines this league from having just one of these on the map. So I like doing 1 fine, 1 divine, and 1 scarab. But you can stack them. You can do 2 divines, 3 divines, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Those are the valuable orbs, though. You can see that I've gotten rid of every other orb. They're crap. And it's a cool little trick if you don't know. Side of the order crafting device here, you can scroll down to the delirium orbs right here. For 30 blue essence, which is not valuable, yellow is the only valuable one. But for 30 blue essence, you can re-roll 1 delirium orb. So a really cheap thing to do is buy orbs that are not the ones you want, cheaper. Then you can farm or buy a whole bunch of blue juice. Then you can use that blue juice, sit here, and roll your delirium orbs. As you can see, I don't have any blue juice left. And a league, I've done this, rolled hundreds, probably rolled almost 1,000 delirium. It's insanely monetarily beneficial to you. It's a really big way to save. So don't forget to do that. But anyway, like I said, the 60% delirium, and then you're going to burn them out. I'll grab one of them. I will have to mess with the setting. I was still getting some cards. I didn't sell nearly as many of the cards as I should have. Oh, this will be another good thing for me to show you guys the value of these. I should have sold. Let me find the website. Click on my. Just insane. You don't even realize how much currency value build up. Did I? Hold on a second, guys. Let me mute this quick. Gotta talk to my wife. I'll get back to this and I'll show you. Okay, so let me work on. Believe I remember where I. Oh, I use the Forbidden Trove Discord for a lot of buying, selling. Just so much easier. I do use the website too. Don't get me wrong. I use the website quite a bit for buying on individual items, but when I need to get into bulk, I just not the same. I can't get the type of bulk that I need on the trade website because I just don't sell it in most. Let me find the thing and I will show you screenshot real quick, just so you can kind of get an idea what the divination cards will stack up. Okay. Slap up a wonderful Microsoft Paint real quick. Oh my god, it's also don't know why I hated Phil. I'll have to admit. Cool. Oh, you know what? It's been so long. Gotta sign. this thing. I don't remember where the QR code scanner is. Go. Sorry I didn't have this better prepared, guys. I'm a terrible human being. Worst streamer. Now I should be able to get into this, get into the bulk tool. There we go. All right. So now let me switch to the divination cards. Give you guys kind of an idea. Did it a month ago. We don't want. Yeah, I can't get it, but I did sell a bunch of the cards. But so none of my cards are valuable. None of them are the really top end valuable ones. But I was able to build up 32 divines in just random cards playing the league. I did sell a whole bunch of the valuable ones, probably about 15 or 20 divines worth of more valuable cards. Nothing at the top end. I didn't have anything like I didn't even get a nurse or a doctor. I got patient. I got multiple patients. And then I got some other similar ones that were worth like 50, 75 chaos each, and I did sell a whole bunch of those. Probably, like I said, 10 or 15 divine worth. And then the rest of these have an accumulated value of about 32 divine. So the cards are just a really easy passive way to make money. You're doing nothing but just map. It's just another drop. But that's kind of the key here is you're trying to stack different things for value. And through doing that, you make a whole bunch of currency, different aspects. What else can we touch on that might you guys make? Already touched on crafting. Never got to all these. Never got around to crafting more of these. Had a whole bunch already for tab. Like 50 divine worth of smalls here. That reminds me. Okay, so another good way to earn currency. Surveyor's compasses, guys. These surveyor's compasses can be very, very valuable. So you buy them if you don't know. Here, right here. Eric sells them right here. So I like to just buy a bunch, and I'll keep them in my stash right here. And when you use these sextants, we can sextant, slap those down here on your stones like so. You're doing 16s, by the way, you always sextant. So we'll do these, and we go through and we look, and we go, okay, so this is not a valuable one. I'm not going to waste a sextant and re-roll it, but this one's not valuable. So, this is not the rare. This is not the valuable one. This is valuable to us running maps, but this is not one of the valuable ones that you want to use a compass. Not valuable. There we go. We got lucky. Perfect for my example. Okay, so this. So I'm gonna go into my stash. I'm gonna get my compass. I'm gonna come back here, and I am going to pull that thing out. And then I'm going to slap another sextant on that. And it's a beyond, so we'll leave it. That's more mobs for our map. But this is the point. So this charged compass now has enraged strongbox with quantity multiplier by 500%. This is extremely valuable. You can sell this, and it will sell very quickly during a league. Don't know if I have any left. I'm pretty sure those all sold. So I'll go here again. This. This. Compass. On the website, I'll put this. Go. So again, very late in the league, you have to remember that. Doesn't even matter. Still super valuable. Take a look here. Throw my fancy Microsoft Paint back on, guys. Then you can kind of get an idea here. You have to ignore some of these because they're just idiots posting random crap. Doesn't make sense. Like the first one is 9 divine. That's stupid. Nobody's gonna pay that. It's not worth that. But the 94 is reasonable. 130 reasonable. There's more. I'm not gonna go through them, but you can see even 6 days from the league ending, people are still buying this compass for 100 chaos, half a divine. All I did was throw a damn sextant on a thing. It is an event that I do not do. I do not amplify strongboxes, so it is worthless to me. But if I pull it out, 300 chaos. Easy money. It is that simple to make currency. If you just know what you're looking for and pay it. You gotta learn things. Gotta learn what these little caveats are, and then you'll make a lot of money through these leagues, which will then let you build out this gear, and then you don't have to play meta build. Or you can play a meta build. Go for it. Make your meta build super powerful through currency as well. Slap this in here. Somebody will want. So we've got all our sextants back on. I think that pretty much goes over everything as far as like currency that I can think of at the moment. So I'm going to do another map in a minute, but I need to figure out... I got to figure out what is causing this issue with the video. Not in here. It's probably my NVIDIA's. You guys will kindly give me a... We'll do the next map and kind of give you an overview. If anyone is joining late, I've gone over a lot of commentary and a lot of currency earning and different things that you can do. When it comes to like playing these events and earning. So if you guys want to watch the video from the beginning, once I'm done with the stream, it will go into my channel's videos that you can watch later, reference it later, whatever you want to do. Hopefully it helps some people out in earning some more currency. I know it's not always the easiest thing to do in this game. Gotta figure this out though, because I did not have this tearing prior. For me until looks awful for you guys too. Did change desync. Way to find out. Turn it off. Oop, did my control panel? Yeah. Hands of fun. We'll fix. You guys can. I do apologize though. I know it's not the most fun thing to sit here and watch me try to fix this. If I go into another map though, it's gonna be flashing. It's not gonna be. Okay, so it did remove G-Sync. So we're gonna try. That was one of my recent changes. Check our list real quick for the page. Nope, trash. Glacial. One of those was valuable. So, again, Divination Scarab, Harbinger Scarab, Light Scarab. I prior mentioned that these are three of the events that I focus. Light, Harbinger, big for delirium. Big, big, big. See, like I told you guys, there's that sword. Took almost no time for somebody to want that 50 chaos sword that I found. So that's another 50 chaos we made from that map. Won't help us in the next league, because Crucible's going to be gone. Don't think they're going to make it core that quick anyway. But when it comes back, you guys are identifying tons of weapons. Always be polite. Always be polite in trade. It's something that this game has that a lot of other games don't have. Most people are very polite in trading in this game, and isn't. So always try to be polite to people you're trading. Blessings. Goes on to the next person. better atmosphere. Alright, so back to this. So like I said, I got my scarabs. Divination scarabs are very expensive. I would not recommend doing Gilded Divination. Gilded Blight is required because it's the only one that does the 50% additional reward. And then Gilded Harbinger, you don't have to do, you can do Polished Harbinger as well, but you'll have 3 Harbingers instead of 4. See? Said thank you, good luck, and I got a good... That's what I mean. Always be polite. And then Polished Divination, because I don't feel there's a huge difference between 100 and 150 for the giant price difference between Polished and Gilded on Divinations. There's a huge price. Shrines, Exarch. This may change in the next league, but for now, in this league, Exarch is much more valuable. Just the raw payout of Exarch. Got my second. Go in. Buffs are on. We'll just go clear us another. And hope that we don't have artifact tearing. Hopefully disabling G-Sync. Fix that. Not, I'm gonna have to... FPS is... I'm gonna have to... Settings. Yeah, I had a feeling that wasn't gonna work. That's some... So I may just end this stream early. I may mess with my video settings, get it a little bit more fixed, and then I'll probably do another one later. I don't want to keep streaming people like this, though. I gotta fix this video. Finish this map out. And I'll probably stop and fix the video, and then I'll bring it back up for anyone who wants to watch some more clearing. And so if I think of anything else to add in to help out, any other ways to make anything else. If people have questions, like if you guys have questions, if I have the answers for it, I'll give it. So if you got questions, feel free to throw them in chat. I'll respond best I can. Help out best I can. But I will be streaming also for the next 6 days. I'm gonna keep making videos until the next league. Kind of try to talk about different ways to do things and some of the changes, patch notes they're doing. They're adding in quite a few things, but they're not really changing the base mechanics of the game a whole. Most of what they're changing in this next patch is the new Ruthless mode they're adding in, which isn't hard mode, but it's hard. So, it doesn't have permadeath, but it is going to be very painful. From what my buddy said, anything above magic is going to be very hard, very rare. So rare items, unique items are going to have an exceptionally rare drop rate on Ruthless. They significantly alter and lower all of the bonuses from different auras, effects, your Atlas tree, all kinds of stuff. There are massive nerfs on Ruthless mode, and you're going to have to deal with a whole lot of pain. But it's for people who really want a hardcore version of the game. Basically hard mode SSO. Good way to think of it. I will not play it. I do not want that game. I enjoy my trade league. I enjoy playing the game. I enjoy having fun. Ruthless mode is not fun to me. Bless me, get him off. Rare mob does more damage than unique. Don't ask me, it's cheap reasoning. Rares are more deadly than unique. Alright, we summoned Jedi Master Bob again. Osis, Jedi Master. Jedi Force. Makes looting very difficult. He likes to throw black holes on top of my loot piles. Not fun. I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again. Getting rid of him is pretty easy. You don't want to kill him. He does have some potentially really valuable drops, but like 1% of the time that you kill him, he's going to get some. Probably less than that. Hey, there's us a divine. See? Just gotta play the game. Easy free 200k. And that's not rare. I'm going to tell you guys right now that divine orb, that is not rare. That has happened 100 plus times this week. Not going to be rare. That's why everything with this game is just about scaling. Keep playing, and you learn, you find ways to scale your build, make yourself stronger, get gear. Really easy, more and more divine. I would have loved to see a mirror. I've only seen a mirror fragment the whole time I've played. Almost 8 years of this game. I have only ever seen a mirror fragment. Once. Seen how. I did harvest a lot, just to touch on a different subject. I did harvest a lot earlier in the league. And you're not going to see me do it anymore. Not even early league. I played the original Harvest. Loved it. Loved the original Harvest. It took a lot of time, but it was fun. Going in, building out your garden, doing all that stuff. It was so much more fun. Crafting was more fun. Created some absolutely insane gear during it. But Chris Wilson, in all his infinite glory, decided it just wasn't in line with PoE. Now we have this abomination called Harvest. Yields juice. The machine basically rerolls currency. It's an ongoing joke between me and my other PoE friends that it's just currency reroll gumball machine. Things like delirium orbs, which just makes me sad. Makes me so sad because it was such a fun. So, we've already filled our inventory. Got a fracture mob, not a good one, only a couple fractures. Takes one good fracture. Dump all this stuff out. We've already broken, you know, with the divine orb here, we're already at 200-300 chaos for this map. Everything we just dumped. Crap, and that also reminds me that I don't have a crucible. I kind of stopped grabbing them, I just stopped caring because RN. Definitely want to get this video issue fixed because I can clear these now a good bit quicker, and I can take so many more mobs at once. Lagging. A little bit better, more stable. Not as stable as I'd like it to be. At least it's not as bad as it was. You see, when I have one mob, really slow. Very painful. Not a good quick. Lots of mobs. Even if a boss is in the middle. A lot more damage. Because Wild Strike procs. More mobs there are, stronger the aim. Harbingers are a good way to see this. Lots of mobs that get spawned, lots of AoE, lots of damage. Pick up our loot from our loot pinion. You will get divines out of those. A little bit more rare. Harbingers like to drop their fragments. You will get divines out of it. And you always have a chance for a mirror too. That's the big thing. Totally will happen, promise. 100%. Guaranteed. False out. You'll never get a mirror. We're all doomed. But I'll hope you do. I'll pray for you, mirror. Like I said before, if anyone has questions, anything they want to ask, feel free to throw it in chat. We'll answer it best I can. Go it the best I can. Build the tree. You got a question about something else? Have the info, I will ship. You know something I'll do? When we're done with this map, actually before I work on the video thing, I'm gonna pull up the patch note, go over those real quick too. Be a good thing to do with the video. People can kind of look at the patch notes if you haven't already, and if you have, you know, I'll just go over them with kind of my overview, how I think about them, what I think that they're going to. But I said it before, I really don't think it's going to be a big change. Keystones are nice, Atlas tree changes are not. But it's mostly quality of life stuff. All the major changes really won't have much to do. A lot of unhappy people, but the majority of the patch was ruthless focus. Yeah, what it is. This league, Crucible was okay. Nothing to write home about. Nothing to write home with. Weapon skill trees were fun. They got obnoxious eventually when you up to it. That's typical GG behavior. They're frack. While there. Nothing fancy that time. Either one of these bases. Good. Nothing good there. I think that's most of the map cleared. Yeah. Let me look around. Get the Crucible, and then we'll grab a shrine. Yeah, see it. Sometimes these things will max at 76. Yep, this one will. Sometimes they want me to go over 80. This one, it'll take it 77. We will do it at 77. Hopefully the bosses play nice with us in this one. He's mostly tankable so far. A little bit of spike, no. You do these at 80 and you'll realize. You proc these over to brittle like that one was, and you'll realize real quick you're not in a tanky build. It does not go well. You're either jumping around constantly avoiding abilities, or you're tanky enough, like I am, to just... Alright, grab our shrine. All but down to Cassia. And let's see if the game screws us or not. One vine. Hey, the game loves us again. Unsure of this one, so I'm going to leave one buff there. We have fist immunity, so we're going to focus on holds. Like I said, you don't want to go way out. Like, you can sit here and farm the nodes as they appear, but the ones you're going to level, you do not want to spend them way out here. So there's 4 here. It's okay to put one here because there's 4. They're already starting to go, so we're going to put the slow thing there for these 4. Got 5 now, so that's actually a good place for that one. See, now they've come all the way down. This, because they're all active. We're going to try to get them here, and this one is going to be more difficult because I don't have any of the fists. We're going to have to try to make our stand here. We've got our buffers for our 40% action speed from our rings. And we've got our ice ones. We can add in another ice one. Additional slowing, and then we've just got to do the best we can. Do our best to AoE and protect our pump. Protect the pump, go! 4 bosses. What's that? I know, I'm sorry. The artifact tearing, I'll fix it. Tanking multiple bosses on top of the vines so you take double damage. So tanky, so fun, dude. I will bring Wild Strike back. It will be useful. It won't. It'll never be a desirable build for people to play, other than me. I'm just a unique snowflake who likes Wild Strike. Hide the map over. Oh, you're talking about tab? Need that though. Turn it on and off, but I need that to like move around. Are you talking about summoning a portal on my death? Is that what you're talking about? If that's what you're talking about, then yeah, no. I don't die very often. It is very rare that I die, so I don't need portals very often. So I don't use that gem because I honestly don't have room. I'll finish this up, and there's just not room in the build. When you get to the really late end game, I'll leave it at depending on the spec. Completely depends on the spec. But in most specs, you're not going to be able to use it. You need the ring. Why? Why is he here? I need you to get off of my treasure, bro. This is why I hate Kosas. All my blight treasure chests. Try to dread. Teleported back to him. I'll use this guy to get some leeches going. Somewhere. Come on, Kosas. No, don't summon another thing. Careful, angle. Okay, got him in a channel, got him away. Hopefully he didn't drop any of the death spheres on my loot. Nothing super valuable. Then guys, we go do the boss. Avoiding the death orb. Yeah, now that I can stand here and do nothing, I wouldn't bother using it personally. I've played with it, I've used it. It's not valuable. If you've got an empty gem slot, then I mean, sure, why not? Free portals, but the alternative is one inventory spot. You're taking up one inventory spot with portal storage. You're better off doing that than losing a gem if you have one that you can actually plot. So I would not recommend it. Again, we got ourselves to 12 delirium levels, boss will be 13. So that's kind of the target, that's what you're wanting out of these maps. It's going to vary from map to map because it depends on the mob density. Depends how much you're able to buff it, like that. Most times you can get around 12 or 13. So, we got our divine, and then we got all of our miscellaneous treasure. I would safely call that about a 300 divine. Be a little bit higher. Look at here. Bust is not a good one. Good. Stone gaze, also no good. Not worth breaking that. We'll check our sword. Nothing particularly good. So I'll just throw this one at 20. If someone wants it, they can give me 20 for it. Not particularly valuable sword. Okay, so I need to fix my video setting. So I am going to end the stream here. I do appreciate everybody watching, and anybody who ends up watching this on my channel for information. Joy, I will see you guys next time.